That's right. Welcome in the ring, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you guys are joining us from. It's a privilege to have you guys with us this evening, each and every one of you. Whether you're joining us on Twitter, we love you guys on Twitter. Again, we see our following, the viewership keeps improving on Twitter, and we love that. It's Twitter shared Avery Duncan. Whether you're joining us on YouTube, it's Sherry Duncan on YouTube. Subscribe, or you on Facebook. Across the platforms, across the pages and profiles we're sharing on Facebook. We welcome each and every one of you. Give us a reshare as you come on. We are so privileged to be, whether in your homes or in your workplace, or if you're on the road and you got little data and you're picking us up to see what's happening. We love having you guys. We're going to switch it up a little bit this evening because we have a guest for our close-up segment. But based on the availability of our guests, we're going to pull the close-up segment to the beginning of the program, and then we're going to do the hot topics and the good night to all except at the second half of the program. We hope that you stay with us for the hot topics and for the good night to all except. Folks, it's going to be salacious. It's good to have each and every one of you. We value you, whether you APNU AFC, whether you're WPA, you're TUF, you're TCI, CI, LQM, LGBTQ, whoever you are this evening, we value you and we value your time with us. And we thank you for tuning in each and every night. Folks, as you come on, we beg, we crave that you share our live stream so that as many persons can get the information we put together for you guys. We are very, very grateful that you guys have chosen to be ringside, that you have the testicular fortitude and the intellectual aptitude to be in the ring this evening. And as I said, we are going to have our close-up segment first, and then we are going to have our hot topics, and we are going to also be focusing on the good night to all, except a particular individual. So stay with us this evening. We have our guest who is here with us this evening, and as soon as he looks as though he is ready, he has his lighting set and he has his background put together nicely, we are going to welcome him, because this is a fellow who has the testicular fortitude, who has the intellectual aptitude to be in the ring. And so we encourage you guys to stay with us, give us a reshare as we welcome our guest this evening. Is none other than Mr. 𝗪𝗵cie 𝗵𝗶, and he's the leader of the Alliance for Change, a member of Parliament. Mr. 𝗪𝗵cie, good evening and welcome.
Hi, thanks very much. Sorry to be a little late, but here again, I was this afternoon also. Good.
Yes, you are a man in demand, and so we are grateful for your time, sir. Several developments on the national and international front. Why don't we start with the most recent, the release of the fishermen and their boats from Venezuela? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that is the right thing that Venezuela had to do in view of all the international and regional criticisms. And I rather suspected that they went back to check out where these boats were, the two boats I'm speaking about, along with those that were detained, where they were found. And of course, they were found in the maritime waters of Guyana. And I rather suspect that a lot of people now will appreciate that at least the what you call the right thinking Venezuelans must have indicated to the authorities over there that this is going a little too far. It is important that they send back those. And I rather suspect that in view of all the belligerent talk too, you're going to find that Venezuela will want to know what they're going to do with the 12 fishermen, what they're going to do with the boats. And ultimately, they will realize that, you know, as things stand, the territorial waters out there, the maritime waters out there are Guyanese. And so they had to do that, which is obviously, but it is the hardship of, I don't know, it's about 12 days to 14 days detention.
Quite a few days, quite a few days.
Yeah. And the hardships created. Their families were getting concerned. and a number of things. But I rather suspect that the international diplomats obviously were talking to them behind the scenes. Guyanese diplomats were talking, Caribbean diplomats. And so it is what we recognize would have occurred, although we felt that it ought to have occurred earlier.
We see a very aggressive Venezuela in this again the most recent claim to the Essequibo. What do you think has perhaps informed this kind of aggressive stance out of the usual?
The aggressiveness is coming because Venezuela probably see also certain situations that they are having in their own country. Generally, when these things happen, Sherrod, it's because they want to divert attention from what local problems they have that have cropped up. And sometimes that is one of the reasons. The other is that they feel that in Guyana, there might be developments that are fortuitous for them. And they then do their machinery, oil it up a little and crank it up. And also they probably felt that because the fishermen were out there, having caught them, they then used that as an occasion, an objective reality that came forward, and to do these kinds of statements and surges in this round, as it were. So that is what causes these things, as far as I am aware. Of course, it is a devolution of the Venezuelans, because they too sometimes have absolutely no reason for doing it, but just because they want to do it and they want to show that they they're mighty and they can do it. So sometimes for no reason, sometimes for objective reasons that are the realities over in Venezuela.
Great. And so we have that on the one front. In terms of what's happening out at sea, we have this controversy with the trawler license. I noticed that the association that deals with it seemed not to be buying into what the minister has said concerning this new entrance into the sector.
Well, the more they try to hide from the truth, the more questions they will have. And that they are saying that this man, 𝗵𝗵cie 𝗬𝗵𝗴𝗵𝗁, is the person who made the application and was granted this license in what is regarded as a closed sector. There are already 87 people with licenses and boats there. They're not supposed to open back that. That is according to the international people, and that is according to the local fishermen and the government of Guyana. It was closed completely. So this now taking 2 licenses and giving 𝗵𝗵cie, I understand the fellas call him is cassava. He lives somewhere in 𝗁𝗁cy. He's associated with somebody that has been very critical of me in relation to these matters. So
call names, call names.
Yes, the trouble is that more and more questions are going to be asked now in relation to this matter. There is also the new development, because this minister did not want to answer the questions truthfully inside of Parliament. He goes and allow his ministerial staff to write some letter. Let me just close this door. He allows his ministerial staff to write a letter indicating that this is the name. Why didn't he name the name inside of the Parliament? You wait 2 days after, there is tremendous suspicion about that. And then he utilizes what he said is extant practices in Parliament, that you don't name people. Oh, come on. Yeah. If it's ExxonMobil that got the license to go out there and do oil rig, you name ExxonMobil. If it is with association of consortium group, you name the other members of the group, CNOC and Hess Oil and whatever. where is that residing in the I was checking it through. I was checking it through here also in the standing orders. I don't see it there. But these guys, you know, find these excuses. Well, he has just put himself in a further pickle because what is the due diligence that they did in relation to this guy? He's saying it's a reputable businessman. All the fishermen and the big companies, officials that I have spoken to, not a single one of them said they know about this guy. And you know, I don't know what
Trinidad.
Yeah, and this now the man we understand is that remigrated to Trinidad, and then you're giving him a license.
Yeah.
But there's another aspect of this question that he was rather very personal when I ask about whether they consulted. You got to understand this thing, Sharon. In Guyana, stakeholders in a sector are supposed to be consulted in matters that concern their interest. The stakeholders in this sector is called the 𝗪𝗧. They're made up of all the seabob fishermen and shrimp people that got their license and so on. There's some 4 big ones: Pretty Paul Singh, 𝗪𝗵cie Company, what's it's called, Noble House, 𝗁𝗵𝗴, I think it is, and there's some others. And these people have a tremendous amount of influence in that. And when in 2013 they had closed off this sector completely, they had literally given up 30% of their licenses. So if you had to go and give anybody additional licenses, or you got any space for them, is these people who had given up their licenses. You don't go and give new people, and especially people who obviously had no background in the industry. This is a sensitive industry. It has tremendous amount of regulations governing it. Mm-hmm. You have to have a culture of wanting to go into it. You got to get money. You got to get a lot of capital, I understand, and things like that. That is why the big yes, and this is it. You got to get a reputation and all of that. And now to bypass all these consultative bodies, and there are 2 of them. There's called the working, I think it's the advisory committee, the Fishermen's Advisory Committee, and the consultation with the 𝗪𝗧. You know, in that last question I asked him, he started getting personal, saying that look at the firearm license, hundreds of firearm license that you granted, and that we did exactly what I was doing in the firearm. Well, in the firearm thing, you have to deal with scrutiny from 3 different levels. One is the commander, and the commander will check out the neighbors and everybody to find that you're of good character. That's the due diligence. And then you go to the commissioner. The commissioner make a check with special branch as to whether you're any terrorist or whatever you are, and they clear you. You get a star. Then it goes to the firearm license board. And the firearm license board that was at the ministry was there for years, long before 2015, made up of Dr. 𝗪𝗧 𝗵𝗴, an accountant, a doctor, and a lawyer. And then we put on yes, right. And we put on another doctor because I wanted to check up their mental health, especially with Dr. 𝗵𝗴 there, to interview them. And that's the scrutiny we did right up to almost, I think, January 2020. Because of the COVID and so on, a number of people who deserved firearm license, they didn't get, the board did not meet because of the COVID conditions and the tenseness of the 2020 elections and all of that. The board didn't meet. I have the authority, as you know, you worked in my ministry, to grant those people. But they're getting personal, talking about the licenses that were granted. Hundreds were granted. Well, in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, right up to December 31st or January 2020, the board was there all the time because of the COVID. And this minister, Minister Ben, I think it is, who went and said that 61% of the licenses in 2020 were not board recommended. Well, indeed, and I made that quite clear, because these are people who were not meeting. What do? The things are on your desk. You check out. Has the commissioner ticked it off? Yes, the commissioner approved it. Did the commander of the division tick it off? Yes, the commander. And it was about right up to the 14th of July when I last got the report from the secretary of the Firearms License Board, who works in the ministry. She said it was about 48 licenses. Now, 61% of 48 licenses were then granted without the Firearm License Board members, because
and
of
so
the
certain Ben has already given out more than you gave out in the whole 5 years.
Oh yes, well, you know, and this is how they want people, and they want to deflect the question. Now, firearm licenses, that is the truth about it. It's in all the reports, and I made it rather very public. And these are the civilians inside of that firearm license board that grant, in a sense, the third tier, commander, commissioner, then and you get the things granted like that, and then you issue a letter to the minister saying that they have gotten approvals from all 3 scrutinizing bodies and grant the thing. What the hell he's coming now with saying that I granted 100, and he don't want to name the person. It's a shame. It will bring a lot more pressure on them. And you know, I was surprised, because 𝗁𝗵𝗴 is a fella that I happen to know for a long time. But there are deals that might have been worked out behind the scene for this very profitable business of CBOB and a number of things. But the profitability is being made less and less as a result of, I understand, tremendous overexploitation, notwithstanding the lessening of the amount of licensees that are there now. About 30% less than what was in 2013. We didn't touch that thing because we understand international scrutiny. Noel Holder indicated that all the fisheries department officials were well aware of this. But of course, when you make deals with people, whatever deals you make, you now got to pay them off. And that is what has happened here, in my opinion. And this fella probably was just a front for some other people who pontificating on a number of issues. You know, they love to pontificate. And then they put their integrity all in tatters now. They don't even want to say whether it is them. But look, this kind of thing is very, very serious, because we now understand what the PPP is out to do. It is out to give, again, friends and families and doing these very sensitive licenses. You might have that operating in the Wildlife Association now. I understand there's one big thing going on there.
Yeah, forestry got a lot of problems, as we've been highlighting here in the ring. On the note of Parliament you mentioned early on, what the hell is happening in Parliament currently with this whole issue of the fraudulent PPP trying to oust the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee?
Again, that is but another example of the control freakism that I've been speaking about. The thing is in their DNA. They want to control everything. They're going to want to control back the amount of monies that they can spend on constitutional agencies. That is what one thing they're talking about tomorrow, to dismantle constitutional agencies from being independently funded. They're going to now want the minister in charge, the minister, 𝗁𝗵𝗴 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗵 to be in charge, 𝗁𝗁𝗵 and the office of the president. This one here, our best person who is qualified to be a parliamentarian, David Patterson, is a member of the Public Accounts Committee. And the Public Accounts Committee, chairmanship of it is generally resident in an opposition member. You have Director of Finance. I think you have 2 other persons who are first-timers. Yes, they're first-timers. David Patterson knows this thing very, very much. And that is why we propose his name. And at the selection committee, he was approved. The selection committee is made up of 5 PPP members and 4 APNU AFC members. And they agreed to him go there. Now that he has gone there, they recently fabricated some charge saying that he did something at the 𝗪𝗵𝗴 Harbor Bridge. Totally, you know, mischievous on their part, because these things were dealt with by the previous legal advisor there, who indicated that there was absolutely no evidence right up at that stage for charging anybody, whether Adams, the transport and harbor person, or the minister, in relation to the 𝗪𝗵𝗴, some feasibility study by the Dutch company in relation to this. I noticed something went wrong there just now.
Sorry about that. You go right ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So they want to utilize that now to knock him out, because he's the fella that could write well on these issues and also ask questions of the public officers that will come up for scrutiny, and especially the Auditor General.
Am I wrong? But didn't Irfan Ali, their best candidate for the Public Accounts Committee, chair that committee with 19 fraud charges? 19?
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't know if they're afraid that David Patterson might be the next president, so they want to knock him off, because you know, having been there, Irfan Ali became president. So they probably, look, I mean, I don't want to be facetious about it.
Who wants to replace him with 𝗪𝗵? 𝗪𝗵, who lied to GCOM that he wasn't a dual citizen right up until nomination day?
Yeah. Well, I don't know how true it is that they want to put 𝗪𝗵 there, but 𝗪𝗵 too must understand that he's not even a member of the Public Accounts Committee. Our rule book, called the Standing Orders of the National Assembly, have it that the chairmanship must come from the main opposition party. And the main opposition party already has 4 members there.
But the 𝗪𝗵 even opposition?
Even if you bring in 𝗪𝗵, oh, they're going to knock off somebody from their party. They can't knock off our 4, because we have a rule that each committee will have 9 people, 5 in the opposition, 5 in the government, and 4 in the opposition. That is how we did it the last time too. And the PPP was satisfied with that. That is why the select committee, or the committee of selections, they did that kind of arrangement. So I don't understand, unless they want to include 10 members now, and they have to change the whole constitution of these committees. I don't know if they want to risk going there, because that will be very, very unconventional and unconstitutional conduct.
I see your grandson.
He wants to be a politician, it seems.
Quite okay. It is quite okay. Is 𝗪𝗵 even an opposition member? Because 𝗪𝗵 draws salary from the government.
He is absolutely.
The aviation authority draws a huge multi-million-dollar salary on a monthly basis. Is 𝗪𝗵 even opposition?
In my book, 𝗪𝗵 is not a member of the opposition anymore. 𝗪𝗵 is like with what you call a coalition with the PPP. He has now been made an advisor. He has been made the deputy speaker against all the conventions of the parliament that is from the main opposition. Yeah, right. Become the deputy speaker. And so this is what is happening. A lot of these institutionalized things that we had in parliament are being dismantled. And just because the control freakism that was there in Jagdeo, and that is why, you know, when you have a constitutional precept that you can be president only twice and then you got to move on, it did not cater for what Jagdeo is doing to the constitution. Come back as a vice president serving a term as president. This thing has a huge amount of implications. People didn't understand what I was trying to tell them. That Jagdeo should not even come back as a vice president, because that is what is prevented by virtue of 2 terms and no more. It's like what happened in America with Obama and then Bill Clinton and them. They gotta go long and pasture.
The way I heard you explain this, the way I heard you explain this elsewhere, is that 𝗪𝗼's interests and the PPP interests do not collide.
That's the point. I remember telling you that. Now, that is something just like how a respondent was argued as whether proper and necessary inside of that case before Roxanne George, our Chief Justice, recently. There is no collision of interest with a 𝗪𝗼 as against the government.
He doesn't oppose anything.
Yeah, his interests coincide. He's an advisor. And so he is not, and what you need in the Public Accounts Committee, from a reading of all the constitutional material that I have, is that in that committee, because you're scrutinizing the finances and fiscal matters and management and accountability issues, you have to have somebody whose interest might not in any way be same or coincidental with that of the government of the day.
And
You got to
𝗁𝗏
get somebody who's a real opponent. And
𝗁𝗏 has become a yes man.
Exactly, 𝗁𝗏 will be coming, and I don't know if 𝗁𝗏 know anything about public accounts or anything of the sort. I mean, he's a high flyer, some pilot he is. This guy had been in Parliament before, David Patterson. David Patterson is our man in that, yeah. And so the experience, he has been speaking for the AFC on these issues for the last 15 years, or how much years he's been around, and so on. So I don't understand how 𝗁𝗏 could even want to be there. But let us wait and see, because the only way that he could be there is they got to change this whole constitution of the committees and change rules and all kind of things which they can do because they have the majority. But I rather feel that they are going to be compelled by what is called self-restraint in going that far.
And also public pressure, because from the first instance, they took a very long time to even constitute these committees. Even the PAC took a very, very long time. So it was clear to all and sundry that they did not want the oversight of the Parliamentary Accounts Committee, especially with the APNU AFC chairing that committee. And so that is part of this strategy now, to usurp the chairmanship from the main opposition party and put in the yes man, 𝗁𝗏.
Yeah, that is it. Scrutiny is what the PPP always, especially after the death of the Jagons. It is scrutiny that they always, probity. You know, they can't get those attributes attached to them. They're gonna do a lot of nonsense. They're gonna utilize the monies that they're gonna borrow. They want the ceiling level now for borrowings to go beyond, I think, $50 billion to I forgot, it's over $150 billion they want to be allowed to borrow now. So they will be spending, and the spending's going to be very corrupt, because even when it is at 50 billion, you can't execute on projects. What are they going to do now with 150 billion and lots more? It is crazy. And we have to, you know, tell the public about all these things. This afternoon, we had on the Chris Jones show, the same 5 o'clock show, the former minister Winston Jordan, indicating to me, indicating to the public, and was along with me, indicating the entire motive here. And he is saying that the motive is obviously very reckless spendings, and not more. He wants to be diplomatic. You don't want to say corrupt spending, but reckless spending.
Corrupt spending.
It is corrupt spendings, and we know, because almost all of them turned millionaire overnight. From the very first day they became parliamentarians and a whole set of things. You just check out Pradoville 1 and Pradoville 2, and they're talking about David Patterson's gold chain or gold band or whatever. And if you see the gifts that some of them I know collected, because I was with them since 1992. These guys, they're so crass and bold-faced, you know. But this is what we have to deal with here. You know, we have to go back to the jury, which is the electorate. We have to go, especially in Berbice and in Essequibo, and tell the people. Because nothing seems to be going on in these areas. You got the Minister of Agriculture walking around talking, yes, I will get this done. I can get the sugar factory in Skeldon. Sugar factory, we're gonna waste billions and billions of dollars of money. Just like we wasted $200 million to put up the Skeldon factory. $200 million US dollars, you know, and the thing can't operate. And they gotta spend another $100 million US dollars in it. To do what?
White elephant. Sir, well, I know we have to leave it there.
The program. I have another appointment. Thank you very much.
Coming on. Mr. Kemraj Ramjitan, Member of Parliament, the Honorable, and Leader of the Alliance for Change. Mr. Ramjitan, thanks again for your time.
Thanks very much.
Great. Folks, there we have it. Mr. 𝗪𝗵𝗏 𝗵𝗏 joining us for close-up. And if you joined the program early, we said to you we had to switch it up a little bit because our guest, Mr. 𝗵𝗏, had an engagement a little later on in the evening, and we didn't want to keep him back from that, but we wanted to really and truly get his impression on those issues that we asked him on the Venezuela issue, on the trawler license issue, and on the Public Accounts Committee matter that is much in the public domain. Folks, we had to switch it up this evening, but we kept this segment, or these two segments that we know you guys love because you're like Bacchanal, just for you guys. So we want to really thank you for tuning in. And while you're in, guys, we want to ask you to share this live stream. Hundreds of you, I can see it from my end, hundreds of you are on this live stream because you're fast, you're like Bacchanal, you're like true Guyanese, you're like story. And in that vein, we ask you guys to share. If 500 of you, 900 of you, and there are more than 1,000 of you watching right now, share this live stream, we're going to be much better off for. That is the price for admission, folks. Let's fight. Let's fight, folks. Hot topics. Can you guess where we're going this evening? Right off the bat, we want to look at this event that happened over the weekend. We had the media engagement with the president happening over the weekend, and some comments that are actually attributed to the president of the Ghana Press Association. I want to highlight this evening. Again, this was the presidential media brunch. I mean, that 𝗪𝗏 that was built by President Granger, looking very, very nice there. The 𝗪𝗏, I think it is. 𝗪𝗏, forgive me if my pronunciation is a bit off. But this was the presidential media brunch, and the president of the Ghana Press Association had a few words for the members gathered. What stood out to me is when Ms. 𝗪𝗵cie 𝗜𝗵𝗴 said that media houses are not the same as social media commentators. Media houses are not the same as social media commentators. If I felt she was talking about me, I would have felt attacked. But I know she ain't talking about me. So who the cap fits can wear if she says that media houses are not the same as social media commentators. And she went on to state that we have different duties and ethics and provide a service unmatched. Further to this, and this is according to Kaito News reporting, she outlined that no administration must be seen to be funneling taxpayers' dollars to media squatters who do nothing more than diminish the quality of media and by extension undereducate and underinform the public to the long-term detriment and holistic growth and development of society. I feel like I write this speech for her. So we wanted to recognize that the courage, the testicular fortitude, and the intellectual aptitude it took for Ms. 𝗏𝗏 to deliver those words while standing in the 𝗪𝗏 of the State House. So that was one of the activities occurring over the weekend, folks. What else occurred over the weekend? Well, at the very same event, there was a lot happening, folks. A lot of things happening. So again, we are very grateful for those words delivered there by Ms. 𝗏𝗏 at that media luncheon with the fraudulent 𝗪𝗏 𝗧𝗵𝗏. In other news, I don't know who she could have been speaking about, but about these usurpers, these fake people parading as journalists. But all kinds of people turned up there. All kinds of people turned up there. All kinds of people turned up there. All manner of people. Further, we say not. Further, we say not. Moving on in the hot topics, folks, Guyana is not a real place. It is not a real place. On the same subject matter, lots of folks said that the fraudulent Minister Kwame McCoy turned up in some blinds and curtains. I don't know if you might agree with them, but they said that Kwame McCoy, fraudulent convict, he was convicted of assault, who sits as a minister in this government, turned up in curtains. You could be the judge for yourself. You can be the judge for yourself, ladies and gentlemen. In hot topics, we turn our attention to PPP corruption, which has become even more prevalent in this administration than during their last stint in government. PPP corruption. You remember we spoke about this issue? The $2 million shed in Canal number 2, the $2 million shed. Well, they're still building, folks. They're still building. The latest addition to the $2 million, this was it the last time we spoke about it on this program. It had a little seating area and so on. Well, they're taking shame out of the eye now. They're taking shame out of the eye now, folks. Right? They're taking shame out of the eye. And so that was this is the current state of the $2 million shed. Folks, the PPP got to stop their corrupt actions. They got to stop their corrupt activities. The Guyanese people demand more from them. The Guyanese people demand more from us. And what we are witnessing currently under the fraudulent PPPC administration. And so this whole $2 million shed has attracted a lot of attention. Lots of attention, folks. This $2 million shed. I mean, how many men it takes to build one little 𝗪𝗵cie bus shed? Huh? How many workmen you all are seeing here? $2 million. This is all part of the PPPC's corruption in public office. And we are very happy that the citizens of this country have highlighted this issue. This is them quite recently. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I see a 7th man there building one little bus shed. You all see why this shed costs $2 million now? You think you appreciate why the shed costs $2 million? It's months now the shed building, you know. One little bus shed. It is months now it building. PPP corruption, folks, at its best. PPPC's corruption at its best. And we're going to keep you tuned in with all the fraudulent things that are happening. All of the fraudulent things that are happening. All of it. We're going to keep you guys posted. We are not letting up. We are not letting up, folks, one bit. Right? We are going to keep their feet to the fire in every regard. We are going to keep their feet to the fire. And so I'm happy for the folks who continually share these issues with me so that I can bring it to your attention, which takes us, folks, to one of the most interesting parts of this program that I like. A good night to all, except, and as you know, I love your commentary. A good night to all, except. What do you guys think we're going to focus on this evening? A good evening to all, except. So that was a $2 million project. And I can give you a hint. I ain't focusing on them for good night to all, except, because we touched on them in a previous program. A good night to all, except. I'm waiting to see your comments because I want to share them. A good night to all, except. I'm waiting to see what your suggestions might be. A good night to all, except. Somebody says, a good night to all except Sharon. Thank you, 𝗪𝗵cie. Thank you. You got your 5 seconds of fame there. Thank you for that. A good night to all except. I see Karen Kilman says, a good night to all except the Canadian High Commissioner. Karen, I might tend to agree with you because he seemed to be off on the wrong foot. While I share your comments, I invite you to share the live stream. Somebody says Schumann. Somebody else says the window curtain. This is Kwame, the window curtain. Somebody says the Bhakti chief, Dharmlal. The man with the curtain shirt. Rob street thieves. Right? All right? I love the comment. Folks, I'm going to give you why. I'm going to share with you why. It is all part and parcel of the PPP corruption. All part and parcel of the PPP corruption. I want to share with you who we're giving it to this evening, but I'm going to share with you first why.
Chairman.
Yes.
Right? I'm going
Pertaining to what 𝗪𝗪 or
I'm going to share with you why first. Bear with me. Because I told you the PPP more corrupt now than they ever were before. You understand me? It's corruption. From the top to the bottom, it's rotten. Folks, a good night to all, except.
You know, right?
And here is why.
Me and your chat, right?
Right.
You're willing to video your complaint to the chairman, the regional chairman.
Yes.
Pertaining to what 𝗪𝗪 or 𝗁𝗵𝗵, 5274 chairman or whoever it is doing, right? Explain to me.
Yes, so the man, he tell me to go work. Me work one night. He tell me to put 3 nights for me.
Yes, sir.
Said I'm Mary work the tonight I'm Mary who is shop, so you put that in me name now. So now me work one night only me know. Now 3 days pay me I go call the NDC. How can I get 3 days pay me work 3 nights pay me work one night? Yeah, so when you talk to he say he the boss, he get the book man. And when you try your money now, you tell your house the man come pay money. So when my money there buy, and I work for the money.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what the man doing.
So Mary didn't work.
No.
And he collect Mary pay.
Yes, he said I'm Mary money, so he go put in me in a me drum. So me think Mary work, but me tell me he work.
Okay. Well, is I want your consent, your verbal consent that you willingly, and I enforce you to say what you're saying.
No, you're not forced me to the wrong you and say it.
And when I bring it up to the people in charge, at least you can stand your grounds, right?
Yes, yes.
So I'm making no false allegation against
false
anyone.
allegation, but me not even get the linkage to get to the man this, to tell how this man is. And you come to your house, you want beat, you want fight the first thing. Fee money, and then I give money, that money I work for, right? Yeah.
All right, there's no issue with that, but I just want your consent to video you, so I can send it, I can forward it to the upper authority.
Yes, yes.
Me not in a position, but I also am a man, right?
Yeah, sure.
And this is not right, right? Because we're poor people working and hustling for our life, right?
Right.
So thank you for your
when we are complain to you, me don't know who complain to, so I'm complain to you.
okay. So thank you, right?
Okay, thank you.
You know, right?
Yeah.
Me and your chat, right?
Right.
So, folks, there you have it.
You're willing to
There you
video
have it.
your complaint
This
to
is
the chair.
this is the chairman of the number 54, sorry, the number 52 to 74 NDC. This is the chairman. His name is 𝗪𝗵𝗪 𝗵𝗁. And the allegation is that, being made by this gentleman, is that as a security personnel there at the NDC, Mr. 𝗪𝗵𝗪 𝗵𝗁, right, got them signing for more nights and more days than they work. 𝗪𝗪 𝗵𝗁. That is the allegation that is being made. That the chairman of the number 52 and 74 NDC, and this is on the quarantine, according to what you heard with your own ears, the gentleman is saying that he tells them if they work 2 nights, they got to sign for 5, and the 3 nights money is his own. You hear the man say, he come by your house and he bullying you for the money. 𝗪𝗪 𝗵𝗁. Folks, I want you to take another listen to it. I want you to take another listen to the allegation that is being made. This is PPP corruption at its best. PPP corruption at its best, ladies and gentlemen. Take a listen to it with your own ears, not in my ears, with your own ears, folks. Take another listen to it.
Chairman, the regional chairman,
Yes.
pertaining to what 𝗪𝗧𝗵𝗲 or 𝗪𝗵ឆ 5274 chairman or whoever it is doing, right? Explain to me.
Yes, so the man, he tell me to go work. Me work one night. He tell me to put 3 nights for me.
Yes, sir.
Said I'm Mary work the tonight 𝗪𝗵ci̱ 𝗬𝗧𝗵𝗵, so you put that in my name now. So now me work one night only me know. Now 𝗁cie 𝗶𝗶𝗵𝗵 I go call the NDC. How can I get 𝗁cie 𝗶𝗵𝗵 work one 3 nights when me work one night? Yeah, so when you talk to he say he the boss, he get the book man. And when you draw your money now, you tell your house the man come pay money. So when my money there buy, and I work for the money.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what the man doing.
So Mary didn't work,
No.
and he collect Mary pay.
Yes, he said I'm Mary money, so he go put any money in me drum. So me think Mary work, but me tell me he work.
Okay. Well, yes, I want your consent, your verbal consent that you willingly, and I enforce you to say what you're saying.
No, you're not forced me to say the wrong you and say it.
And when I bring it up to the people in charge, at least you can stand your grounds, right?
Yes, yes.
So I'm making no false allegation against
No false
anyone.
allegation, but we don't even get the linkage.
This is called doggery. PPP corruption, right? And it's not only just this gentleman. This is the number 52 to 74 NDC chairman. This is on the quarantine. 52 village to 74 village, right? This is PPP corruption. So the man got his signing for Mary. So we're calling on the Auditor General to launch an investigation, a financial audit and an investigation into this NDC. And 𝗪𝗪𝗓𝗵𝗪, fraudulent minister of local government, to launch an investigation into the corruption of Mr. 𝗪𝗵ឆ 𝗵𝗵𝗴, the chairman of the NDC, number 52 to 74 village. And if my memory serves me correctly, the very people in that area were asking for that chairman to be removed in the recent past. The very people in that area. And if you Google number 5274 NDC, you can see that that is a trouble hotspot on the quarantine. Some very, very serious allegations are being leveled against the chairman, Mr. 𝗪𝗵𝗪 𝗵𝗵𝗴, of number 52 to 74 NDC, that he's involved in corrupt activities, asking people to sign for monies that they didn't work for, and then he's pocketing some of it. More of the PPP fraud and corruption for you. And you can imagine if this is multiplied times over in the system. Well, if the big boys at the top making their thing, what happened to the small ones? If the big boys at the top making their things, what happened to the small ones? So folks, again, we are calling on the Auditor General to launch an investigation. You know why? Because fraud is fraud. And corruption is corruption in any form, especially at the local government level. Maybe they see what's happening at the ministry. Because you all remember, as soon as your boy come in, 𝗪𝗪𝗓, is family business getting contracts. Family business getting contract. So here is 𝗪𝗵𝗪 𝗵𝗵𝗴. The indictment is serious, that he got people signing for monies that they worked 5-10 days when they only really and truly worked 2. And then he demanded the 8-day pay, the 8 days pay. So it's a good night to all except 𝗪𝗵𝗪 𝗵𝗵𝗴, the number 52 to 74 NDC chairman. He's a scamp. He is a scamp. That's what he is. He's a scamp. From the voice of people who are working with him. We are making this up, you know. And you hear the man ask him, I'm not forcing you to say this. The man said, no, you want to say it for a long time. They are scamps. That is what they are. So folks, we are going to continue to monitor that. They are scamps. And we're happy that we have people on the ground who are monitoring their activities and monitoring the wickedness. Monitoring the wickedness. Just as people are monitoring the folks with that piece of scrap that they're calling a shed for $2 million. Right? Guyanese people not foolish. And the PPPC seems bent on taking us back to pre-2015, one of the most corrupt periods in this nation's history. They seem hell-bent. Right? But they are contending with social media and the digital age. And so people always got a camera on, listening in and watching at this fraudulent bunch. So folks, we draw your attention to that as we say a good night to all, except this 52 to 74 NDC chairman, 𝗪𝗵cie 𝗜𝗵𝗴𝗵𝗁. It's shameful what they're doing. Absolutely shameful what they're doing. And again, we are asking citizens to let us know anything suspicious, out of the ordinary. Let us know. Let us know. Folks, as you know, every evening we advise you on COVID-19. And this evening is no different. And this is because of the very, very uncaring government that we have. A very, very uncaring government. The numbers continue to go up. We have 36 new cases of COVID-19. 36 new cases of COVID-19. The number of confirmed cases, 7,714 to date. And again, when the PPP fraudulently came into office August 2nd, there were 21 deaths. There are now 177. There were 474 confirmed cases of COVID-19. There's now 7,740. And we know it is very, very difficult and hard for some of you to even stomach that. But we continue to advise you to social distance, wear your mask, sanitize. You're not supposed to be gathering in groups larger than 10. And this is according to the emergency COVID measures instituted by the government. These are the COVID regulations. And just today, I saw the president somewhere on the East Coast, on the East Bank rather, West Bank, West Coast, West Bank, opening some business establishment there. Scores of people on the tent. No social distance. And that is why we continue to say it is not enough just to wear a mask. It is not enough just to practice some of the social, some of the COVID protocols, like wearing a mask. All of them must be adhered to. And that is why last night we said good night to all except NCN. And a couple of days before, we said good night to all except DPI. Because with the outbreak of COVID at NCN and DPI, clearly lots of people there are not following the COVID protocols and regulation. And it's DPI issuing the COVID stats every day. But they don't believe the information, apparently. Moving on, folks. This weekend, I want to alert the folks in Linden that I am going to be in Linden this weekend at the Blueberry Hill Community Center on Saturday at 9:30. I'm going to be joined by 𝗪𝗵cie 𝗶𝗵𝗵𝗵, Member of Parliament 𝗪𝗵cie 𝗶𝗵𝗵𝗵, and I'm going to be also with lots of the hardworking, the NDC, the RDC, some RDC councillors, as well as some of the municipality councillors, as well the MTC councillors. I'm going to be there in Blueberry Hill at the community center, Blueberry Hill Community Center in Linden. And I really want to invite you guys to share your concerns. All of the COVID measures are going to be in effect. So be prepared to be sanitized, be prepared to social distance, wear a mask. And we're going to have some for you folks, but we want to hear your concerns. I'm going to be there on Saturday, and our MPs are going to be in some other locations, but I want to alert you that myself and 𝗪𝗵cie 𝗜𝗵𝗴, Member of Parliament, my parliamentary colleague, we are going to be at the Blueberry Hill Community Center on Saturday. Folks, in addition to that, as you know, every day I avail myself to members of the public that have any concerns. Oh yeah, I think I know all the transparency in this country, this fraudulent, corrupt government. Every morning, it is not a show, folks. I want to alert you, it is not a show, because some people come on thinking it's another show we're doing, but it's just one means whereby I avail myself to engage members of the public. People call me on WhatsApp, they message me on WhatsApp, they call me on Facebook Messenger. This is just another means of us engaging and talking with any issue that is of concern to you. And lots of people got tremendous concerns with this fraudulent, wicked government and the way they are firing people, whether it's from the Forestry Commission or elsewhere. The Forestry Commission seems to be the latest place people getting fired by the droves. And so I want to draw to your attention that in the mornings from 9 to 10 on Zoom, and if you miss writing it down, the information here, it's right in my Facebook page. It's pinned to the top of my Facebook page, so you don't ever have to miss it. Folks, I really want to thank you for joining me in the ring this evening. It has been my privilege. I know we had to mix things up a little bit this evening because our guests had some commitments, and we really wanted to get that information from him about Venezuela giving up the fishermen and their boats, about the trawler license issue that seems to be now taking on a life of its own, and also this stupidness that the people be trying with the Public Accounts Committee. Folks, I want you to rest assured, we are going to fight this PPP government to the end, until they are removed from office, sooner rather than later. So I know lots of you got concerns about this fraudulent 𝗪𝗪 taking control of the Public Accounts Committee. And folks, I'm telling you, it's not going to happen without a fight. As a matter of fact, this is not going to be a fight. This is going to be 𝗪𝗪cie. This is going to be 𝗪𝗪cie, folks. If 𝗪𝗵 thinks that he's going to bring his fraudulent self from his 5 votes party to chair the Public Accounts Committee, he has another thing coming. And 𝗁 Teixeira with our tin hair. Folks, thank you for having the testicular fortitude and the intellectual aptitude for coming ringside, and for Mr. 𝗪𝗵cie 𝗵𝗲 for stepping in the ring. A good night to all of you. To all of you. Social distance, wear your mask, sanitize. Practice all of the COVID-19 protocols that are in place for your health and your safety. A good night to all of you, except 𝗪𝗵cie 𝗵𝗶, the number 52 to 74 NDC chairman, scam and a crook.